I've also felt that a lot of times our personal experiences have a lot of impact on the way we deal with money. So it could be you get married, then you have children, then you have turbulent relationships, then you make immense financial money. Then you may incur financial losses. Like you said, your parents lost money quite often when you were young. How does all this impact your idea of loss and risk?
When I finished college, I got my degree in engineering, and I got a very good job as a software engineer. And my plan at that time was, when I was 22 and started working, was to stay at that company forever, hopefully get promoted along the ways, put 15% into my 401k retirement plan. And, I ran the numbers and I said that in 30 years or something, I would be set financially with the savings and all of that. And so that's the kind of the path I wanted, because I was trying to run away from the turbulence that I had seen with my parents. My dad was visiting me. I was living in Chicago at the time. My dad was visiting me. I was about little under 25 years old at the time. And he said to me, it's time for you to quit and start your own business, right? And I said, well, I have no plans ever to do that. And if you recall, some of the experiences I had in childhood with all the gyrations I saw with you and all the different ups and downs of the businesses. And my father just brushed that aside. He said, oh, that's all. That's what makes life fun. It's just part of the great experience of living. And he said that basically your situation here is that whatever you do in this company, you will not see most of the reward of that, because you're just one cog in a very big wheel. And you won't be able to exercise all your creativity and everything else, because you'll be seen as a person who has a particular talent in a particular area, and that's about it. And I was myself at that time feeling, I had joined this new group in this business, this company I work for. They had just started international sales and marketing. So they had a dominant US footprint. They were going overseas. And when I joined that group, it was 7 people. And their mandate was to get half the revenue of the company from overseas. The US side had about 1,500 people. And in about 3 years, that 7 people had gone to about 800 people. We had done an acquisition and grown a lot and so on. And what I had noticed is that my job description, which was doing everything when we were 7, kept getting narrower and narrower as we were at about 800. And I actually liked it better when it was 7 versus 800. And at the same time, my father was talking to me about, so I knew that I was not happy with the situation, even though it was a great company and they took great care of me and all of that. And so I worked on a startup on the side. And then once that got traction, I left. I think the experiences I had in childhood, I saw the flaw that my father had in his businesses, where he was really good as an entrepreneur in identifying opportunities and scaling them. But he was very aggressive, and the businesses were undercapitalized. So usually the first storm would just bankrupt the company. So I learned a lot from that experience, and I tried to build in much more resilience into the businesses than what I was doing. So I focused a lot on the downside while going for the upside. So those experiences in childhood actually were very helpful.
The late American investor Julien-Robertson of Tiger Management, he employed a psychoanalyst, Dr. 애런스턴, to tell him how people in his team looked at risk and how they worked together. So Stern used to like the sports guys because it made them very competitive at work. He also liked generalists, not the specialists, because they understood multitude angles to a story. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because decades ago, you employed 2 industrial psychologists to do a 360-degree analysis on you. And they did a bunch of tests on you. They interviewed your spouses, your friends, your employees, your colleagues, and they helped you fathom who you were on the outside vis-a-vis the inside. Now, here's my question to you. If you had to do the test today, are you perfectly aligned who you are inside with the role and the image you project on the outside?
I mean, those guys were a godsend, and I think initiative that I went through cost me $2,000 then, probably one of the best $2,000 I spent. And I think now they do it, it's maybe north of 10,000, still a good deal. But the mental map of who we are is hard coded at the age of 5 or 6, right? And so that's not going to change. That's from 6 to 60 to 96, it's going to stay the same. The further we are out of alignment from who we are on the inside, the less the degree of happiness we're going to have and less the degree of effectiveness we're going to have. So in an ideal situation, you want to lead like a kind of perfectly aligned life. And when I met them, it was more like this. It was misaligned, and their whole idea was try to get as aligned as possible. And I think there are some individuals we see who get to that perfect alignment. When you get to the perfect alignment, you can go through brick walls. I would say Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger are pretty darn close to being perfectly aligned. Probably people like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, bunch of folks we see very strong alignments. Elon Musk, probably very aligned, internal, external alignment. Once they gave me the map of who I was, it made life a lot easier because I could see for the first time who I was on the inside. I think I'm much closer to alignment than I've probably ever been since 1999 when I went through that. So it's been 24 years. And I've deliberately been trying in the last 24 years to move closer towards an alignment with the inner self. I still feel that I'm not there. I would say that probably I'm I was something like this, and maybe I'm more closer to somewhere here. There's still some misalignment, but that's what makes life fun for the future. So we can keep working on that. And yeah, I do believe that if I can ever get more closer to that, the payoffs are exponential.
Wow.